The metallic exterior of the ancient space station gleamed dully in the red light of the dying star. Captain Du Sung of the Galactic Hegemony exploration vessel. Stellar Reach studied the holographic readouts with growing excitement. Sir, scans indicate the structure is at least 3,000 years old, reported Officer Han, his four eyes blinking in sequence. Yet power systems remain partially functional. Captain Do adjusted his breathing apparatus, the thin membrane filtering the ship's atmosphere to suit his species' needs. Prepare a boarding team. This could be a significant discovery for the Hegemony archives. The exploration team, comprised of various species from across the Hegemony, carefully navigated through the station's dark corridors. Their environmental suits protected them from the stale air as they moved deeper into the mysterious structure. Captain, these markings don't match any known language in our database, said Science Officer Min, running her three-fingered hand over strange symbols etched into the walls. The team reached a central chamber where a large console dominated the room. Its design was unlike anything in Hegemony records. Clean lines and intuitive interfaces that seemed to anticipate touch. Fascinating, whispered Min as she studied the controls. The technology appears primitive at first glance, but these systems show remarkable integration patterns. When Officer Tay accidentally brushed against a sequence of symbols, the room hummed to life. Lights flickered on, revealing a cylindrical pod at the chamber's center. Inside, suspended in a clear fluid, floated what appeared to be a bipedal life form. Is it alive? Asked Do, approaching cautiously. Min scanned the pod with her instruments. Life signs detected, but very faint. This appears to be some kind of stasis technology, far more advanced than anything we possess. The team debated what to do. Council protocol demanded they report the discovery before proceeding, but curiosity won out. Officer Min activated what seemed to be the release sequence. The fluid in the pod began to drain. As it emptied, they got their first clear look at the being inside. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head covered with short black hair. Its skin was pale from long suspension. Such a simple design, remarked Tay dismissively. Bipedal, no secondary limbs, limited sensory organs. How did such a primitive species create this technology? The pod opened with a soft hiss. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the being's eyes snapped open, dark, alert, and immediately assessing every detail of the room. In one fluid motion, faster than any of the aliens could react, the being was out of the pod and on its feet. It moved with a precision that belied the thousands of years it had spent in stasis. The being, a female of her species they presumed, spoke words they couldn't understand. When no one responded, she paused, studying them with unnerving intensity. Activating. Universal translator, Min said nervously. The being waited patiently as the device processed her language. Then she spoke again, and this time the translator converted her words. Commander Jia Kim, Earth Defense Force. Identify yourselves. The aliens exchanged glances. Earth? No such world existed in their records. Captain Du stepped forward. I am Captain Du Sung of the Galactic Hegemony. We discovered this station orbiting a dying star. Jia's expression remained unreadable. Date and location? When told they were in the year 5247 by standard Hegemony calendar, something flashed in her eyes, a momentary break in her composed exterior. 3,000 years, she whispered. Then immediately, any contact with other humans? The aliens looked confused. Humans? Is that your species? We have no record of such beings in the Hegemony database. Jia absorbed this information with remarkable calm, though her hands tightened into fists at her sides. Then the contingency was activated, she said, more to herself than to her discoverers. While the aliens discussed what to do with this curious finding, Jia quietly took in every detail of her surroundings. They mistook her silence for shock or confusion, not realizing she was already formulating plans, assessing threats and searching for weaknesses. You will come with us to Central Command, Captain Do finally decided. Our scientists will want to study you. A living specimen from an unknown species is a rare find. Jia nodded, apparently cooperative. Of course, I would be grateful for the opportunity to learn about your hegemony. As they led her toward their ship, none of the aliens noticed the small device she had retrieved from her stasis pod and concealed in her palm, nor did they recognize the significance of the station's systems coming fully online after her awakening, sending silent signals to other dormant facilities scattered throughout the galaxy. Commander Jia Kim, the last awakened defender of humanity, allowed herself to be escorted aboard the alien vessel. She had already made her first confirmation. These beings knew nothing of humans or Earth, which meant they knew nothing of what humans were capable of, and they had no idea what they had just awakened. The gleaming spires of the hegemony capital stretched endlessly across the horizon, a bustling ecumenopolis where dozens of alien species conducted the business of galactic governance. Jia Kim stood at the viewport of her quarters, appearing to admire the view. In reality, she was calculating escape routes, assessing planetary defenses, and memorizing the city's layout. For 6 weeks, she had been the hegemony's most fascinating specimen. They'd housed her in comfortable but secure quarters, treating her with clinical politeness, while subjecting her to endless examinations and interviews. "The Council requests your presence, human," announced her monitor. A slender amphibious being named Officer Gil Jia turned and smiled pleasantly. "Of course. I'm always happy to assist the Council's research." As they walked through the gleaming corridors, Jia's mind drifted to memories of Earth. Not the burning, dying Earth of her final days, but Earth at humanity's peak. She remembered the neural interfaces that had connected humans to their machines, the biosynthetic organs that had extended lifespans, the molecular assemblers that had eliminated scarcity. Earth had been beautiful then, a beacon of innovation. The Siu Council Chamber was a vast amphitheater where representatives of the 27 hegemony species gathered. High Counselor Bok, a massive, grey-skinned being, addressed her. "Commander Kim, our scientists report you have refused genetic sampling. This impedes our research." Jia bowed slightly. "My apologies, Counselor. In human culture, genetic material is considered deeply personal." She didn't mention that a DNA sample would reveal the extensive modifications to her genome, the enhanced reflexes, the reinforced skeletal structure, the neural processors integrated into her brainstem. These were military upgrades, not features. Of standard humans. "Science Director Jun believes you are deliberately withholding information," said another counselor. Science Director Jun rose from his seat, his reptilian features set in a suspicious frown. "This specimen demonstrates capabilities that contradict her claims about human physiology. Yesterday, she calculated a complex orbital equation faster than our computers. Her memory recall is perfect. Her physical responses exceed expected parameters." Jia maintained her calm expression. She had deliberately revealed small glimpses of her abilities, enough to create confusion, but not enough to trigger alarm. "Perhaps your expectations of human capabilities were incorrect," she suggested mildly. Later that night, after feigning sleep for the benefit of the monitoring systems, Jia activated the small device she had brought from the station. It interfaced seamlessly with her neural implants, allowing her to bypass the room's security systems and access the hegemony's information network. Night after night, she sifted through historical records, searching for any mention of Earth or humans. What she found, or rather what she didn't find, confirmed her suspicions. There were gaps in the historical archives, entire sectors of space with missing data, and species that appeared and disappeared from records without explanation. Then, she found it. A sealed file in the military archives accessible only to the highest ranks. Using an encryption-breaking algorithm stored in her neural processors, she cracked it open. Her heart grew cold as she read the contents. Operation Terminus, the systematic elimination of a dangerous expansionist species called humans, the coordinates of destroyed worlds, the meticulous erasure of all evidence that humanity had ever existed. The file contained videos. Jia watched in horror as Earth's defensive fleet was overwhelmed by hegemony warships, saw the orbital bombardment that turned blue skies to fire. witnessed the methodical destruction of human colony worlds, one after another. The final entry was dated 50 years after the initial attack. Operation Terminus complete. All known human settlements eliminated. Historical records purged. Recommend continued monitoring of designated sectors for any signs of survivors. Gia closed the file, her hand steady despite the rage burning inside her. She wasn't just the last awakened human defender, she was possibly the last human, period. And the beings who had murdered her people now studied her like a curious insect. The next morning, when Officer Gill came to escort her to another interview, he found Gia performing what she had told them was a human meditation ritual. In reality, she was running diagnostics on her internal systems, preparing them for what was to come. "Did you rest well?" Gill asked politely. "Very well, thank you," Gia replied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm beginning to feel quite at home here." It was the first direct lie she had told them. She was not at home, she was in the heart of enemy territory, and now she knew exactly what needed to be done. The alarm blared throughout the Hegemony Capital complex. High Counselor Bock stared in disbelief at the security footage. The human female had somehow disabled the quantum locks on her quarters, overcome 4 armed guards, and vanished. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Those restraints were designed to hold creatures 10 times her strength." Science Director Jun reviewed the medical scans with growing horror. "The implants, we missed them. They're microscopic, integrated with her nervous system. She's not just a human, she's something more." Across the galaxy, on a remote mining outpost, Admiral Tok of the Hegemony Defense Force received an urgent transmission. His private terminal displayed a face he immediately recognized, the human specimen from the capital. "Admiral Tok," Gia's voice was calm, almost conversational. "Architect of Operation Terminus, overseer of the bombardment of Earth." Tok's scales flared in alarm. "How did you access this channel? How do you know about—" "I know everything," Gia interrupted. "I've seen the files. I watched the recordings of what you did to my people." Before Tok could respond, the power throughout the mining facility shut down. Emergency systems failed to activate. In the darkness, the last thing Admiral Tok saw was a pair of human eyes, cold and unforgiving. By the time Hegemony forces arrived at the outpost, Gia was gone. Admiral Tok's body was found in his quarters, his secure files wiped clean. Over the high. Next 4 weeks, panic spread through the upper echelons of the Hegemony. 5 high-ranking military officers involved in Operation Terminus were found dead or disappeared. Each time, security systems inexplicably failed. Each time, the only evidence was a simple mark left at the scene, the Earth symbol for infinity. "She's not just killing them," Security Chief Lan reported to the Council. "She's extracting information first. Admiral Tok's neural implant was accessed before his death. General Mori's secure database was completely downloaded. The Council deployed their elite Shadow Guard units, the best hunters in the galaxy. They returned empty-handed, or didn't return at all. Then came the transmissions, on hundreds of worlds. Simultaneously, communication systems were overridden. Screens displayed the face of Commander Gia Kim, no longer pretending to be a simple specimen, but wearing the sleek black uniform of Earth's Defense Force. "People of the Hegemony," she began, "your leaders have lied to you. 3,000 years ago, your government committed genocide against my species, humans from the planet Earth. They murdered billions and erased us from history." The broadcast showed the classified files, the recordings of Earth's destruction, the orders signed by Hegemony leaders. "I am Commander Gia Kim, Project Guardian. When Earth fell, our leaders knew some might survive. They created us, genetically enhanced soldiers placed in stasis across the galaxy. Our purpose? To ensure humanity would never truly be extinct." Reports flooded in from across Hegemony space. Ancient facilities dormant for millennia were activating. Orbital defense platforms that had been mistaken for asteroids powered up. Ships of unknown design appeared on the edges of settled systems. On the frontier world of Nexus 12, Gia stood in a massive underground hangar. Before her loomed the sleek, dangerous form of the EDF Vindicator, a warship that represented the pinnacle of human military technology. It had waited here, hidden and dormant for 3,000 years. As Gia interfaced with the ship's systems, memories flooded back. The final days of Earth, the desperate gamble of Project Guardian, the faces of her team as they entered stasis knowing they might never wake again. Vindicator systems online, announced the ship's AI. Welcome back, Commander Kim. Project Guardian. Protocols active. How many other Guardians have awakened? Gia asked. You are currently the only active Guardian. However, automated systems have detected 17 intact stasis facilities across the galaxy. Gia nodded. She might not be the last human after all, but first, there was justice to deliver. As the Vindicator rose from its hidden berth, Gia broadcast. One final message to the panicking hegemony leadership. For 3,000 years, nothing terrified you. You built your empire on the ashes of mine, but you missed something crucial about humans. We planned for every contingency. You haven't faced our wrath yet, but you're about to. Aboard the hegemony, flagship, High Counselor Bok watched the unknown vessel accelerate to impossible speeds. What have we awakened? He whispered. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the settlement of New Terra. 5 years had passed since the Treaty of Reconciliation between humanity and the reformed hegemony. Where once there had been only ruins, a thriving community now stood. A blend of Earth architecture and modern technology. Jia Kim walked along the central pathway, nodding to colonists who greeted her with respect. She had aged little in the Mighty. Years since her awakening, her enhanced physiology maintaining her strength and vitality. The weight of command, however, had left its mark in her serious eyes and the occasional strands of silver in her dark hair. She paused at the edge of the settlement, gazing at the sprawling complex beyond, the Genesis Center. Within its walls lay humanity's most precious treasure, discovered in the months following the treaty. Hidden in the shadows of an abandoned moon, a massive preservation facility had contained thousands of human embryos, genetic samples from Earth's final days, and detailed records of human culture, history, and technology. Commander Kim, called a voice behind her. The first group is ready. Dr. Huan, one of 17 survivors awakened from stasis facilities across the galaxy, had become the settlement's chief medical officer. Like Gia, he had been enhanced for Project Guardian, though his specialties were biological rather than military. How many this time? Gia asked. 23, he replied with a smile. All healthy. The artificial wombs performed perfectly. Gia nodded, emotions carefully controlled. 23 new humans in a universe that had nearly forgotten them. The first children born to their kind in 3,000 years. They entered the center's eastern wing, where comfortable rooms had been prepared for the infants. Caretakers, a mix of humans and alien allies, moved efficiently between cribs. The children ranged from newborns to 5-year-olds, awakened in carefully planned intervals, to rebuild human society gradually. A small girl with bright eyes looked up from her play area and smiled. "Commander," she called, running to Gia on unsteady legs. Gia knelt, her usual stoicism softening. "Hello, Yun. Showing the younger ones how it's done?" The child nodded seriously. "I'm teaching them about stars. I told them we came from the stars." "That's right," Gia agreed, brushing the girl's hair from her face. "And one day you'll return to them." Later, Gia stood on the settlement's observation deck, watching the sunset with Ambassador Gill, once her hegemony monitor, now the primary diplomatic liaison between New Terra and the reformed systems. "The Outer Rim worlds have requested additional human specialists," Gill reported. "Your engineers are highly sought after." Gia nodded. The neural integration techniques are proving useful then, beyond expectation. 3 species have already adapted versions of the technology for their own physiologies. The medical applications alone have transformed healthcare across 17 systems. Not all had embraced humanity's return. The hegemony had fractured after the revelations of the Arbiter's manipulation. While many worlds sought alliance with the emerging human settlements, others maintained distance, watching warily from the galactic periphery. "And the isolationists?" Gia asked. Gill's amphibious features showed concern. "Their rhetoric grows more extreme. They speak of humanity as a disruption to natural order. Some call for a return to the old ways. They'll adapt, or they'll be left behind, Gia said simply. The galaxy is changing. That evening, Gia visited the Memory Garden, a quiet space where artifacts and images from Earth had been arranged. A holographic display showed Earth as it once was. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Beside it stood a memorial bearing the names of those who had conceived Project Guardian. "We did it," she whispered to the memorial. "They tried to erase us, but humanity endures." From a secure compartment in her quarters, Gia removed an ancient data crystal, one of many scattered across the galaxy by Earth's final leaders. She activated it, revealing a message from Earth's last president, recorded days before the planet fell. "To whoever finds this," the message began, "know that humanity faced extinction not with despair, but with determination. Our bodies may perish, but our legacy will endure. We have hidden our knowledge, our children, and our defenders among the stars. One day, when the time is right, humanity will return." Gia closed the message and walked to her window. In the distance, children played in the settlement's central garden, the first generation of a new human civilization. They would grow up in peace, knowing both Earth's history and its tragic end. They would carry forward humanity's greatest strengths, not the weapons she had used to force justice, but the foresight that had saved their species and the resilience that had brought them back from extinction. The stars glittered overhead, the same stars that had witnessed humanity's near destruction, now watching its rebirth. In the quiet evening, Gia allowed herself a rare smile. The architects of humanity's downfall had feared their technology, their neural capabilities, their rapid advancement. But they had missed humanity's true power, the ability to plan, not just for their lifetimes, but for generations unborn. That had been humanity's greatest weapon all along.